mom is devastated, but there's also an obvious sense of relief. Um, Her biggest fear was going back home to Oklahoma without her baby, and she don't have to do that now.
Mark, what time did you get? I'm sorry, I was going to say, what time did you guys get started today, and how did you discover
We began to stage down farther west in the medical center at about 8:30, and we were going to coordinate with the Houston detectives from the homicide division. They were going to bring some drones out and start to cover areas of the bayou we were not able to cover Sunday. And they wanted our ATVs to be able to get to anything that looked questionable in a reasonable time. So the ATVs were going to be on the bayou and ready for that. When we got staged over at McGregor Park this morning, waiting on the detectives, I sent my team down to find the fastest route to the bayou from the baseball park over there in order to reduce time when law enforcement arrived. And in about 10 minutes, the leader of our ATV team called me and said that they had spotted something that needed to be looked at.
When you said you spoke with mom, that's Ridge's mother?
Yes.
His mother is in town?
Yes, his mother's been instrumental through the baby's surgery. And so is his aunt. Well, two of his aunts. The family's very close, and a lot of family members have been taking turns taxiing from Oklahoma to Houston while the baby recovers from the liver transplant. So there's a lot of family here. There's more coming, and they sent me with a message to thank everybody, the media, Houston Police Department missing persons detectives. They thank Texas EquiSearch. Genuine thanks to the city of Houston, Ronald McDonald's House. They have been so hospitable. That is an amazing organization. And I'd like to put in a plug for the citizens of Houston, Texas, because since this started and we put a flyer out on our website, I got a lot of phone calls, and I always do, from the hotline. They'll transfer the call to me from our answering service, and it was possible sightings of Ridge. Without exception, every call, one of the first things they asked was how the baby was doing. That's the community we live in. A lot of them were moms, and a lot of them shared that if that was my baby, I'd want somebody calling and making a report. I think that speaks a lot for our city. It warms my heart, indeed. And the family wants to thank our community as a whole, because they've been absolutely amazed at the hospitality that they've received since all this occurred.
You seem pretty confident that the body is Ridge.
You know, my hands are tied to say yes, no. It's preliminary at this point. Even I don't even think that's the right word. And I'll just leave it at that.
Can you tell us if what the body is wearing is consistent with what Ridge was wearing?
Yes.
It appears to be.
Yes.
Can you walk us through what we know about what happened with him on Friday?
Friday evening, about 9:20, we found video footage of him leaving Ronald McDonald's house. And he was known to go and sit on the bayou behind it. It's very picturesque down there. It's a park all up and down Brays Bayou in the medical center. And he somehow slipped into the bayou. It's a terrible vertical ledge. And we found personal effects on the bank where he had been sitting. And it really pointed to that he had entered the water.
Were there slip marks, and did you find a phone? What did you find of this?
His cell phone, his satchel, his cigarettes, and his lighter, and we found a shoe. We found a shoe farther down the bank. One shoe.
How deep is down there?
It changes, and it changes really rapidly. Friday late afternoon, there was a front that came through and gave us 2 inches of rain, and that water raised significantly. When I arrived Saturday evening, the family called us for assistance. When I arrived Saturday evening, it had dropped a lot, And then Sunday, when we began a search with our teams, it had even dropped even more. We put a boat in the water with sonar, and it just kept running. The apron of the bayou is shallow, but there's a center ditch, vertical wall ditch in the water, and we'd hoped to keep our boat in that ditch, and it was just dropping so rapidly. We pulled the boat back out of the water and continued a ATV foot search, and we had a kayaker that we were shadowing with our ATVs for safety.
Mark, this appears to be very emotional for you. Describe why it's emotional and how much you were hoping to find him alive.
It's always emotional, and our for every team member of Texas EquiSearch, it's emotional. But we have a lot of volunteers with EquiSearch that lost a loved one, and we help them find that loved one, or at least look for that loved one, and that's why they're volunteers now. And some of those volunteers never did find their loved one. You can see that sorrow and that sadness in their face. They never get over it. The grieving process never even begins until you find that person that you lost. And so it's extremely rewarding. And when I started, I went to a search, nobody showed up to search. It wasn't an EquiSearch search, and I knew I needed to join EquiSearch after that day.
Can you talk to us about their son, why he was here, when he had the surgery, and how that baby is doing?
I know he had my understanding was a rare liver disease, and it wasn't thriving because diet was difficult. And so he came here to the medical center for surgery 2 weeks prior to Ridge disappearing. And the surgery went well, and my understanding is the baby's doing fine. And that's what brought him here.
Do you know what day the baby had the surgery?
No, I don't. I just know it was 2 weeks prior to Ridge's disappearance.
The family arrived in Houston at Ronald McDonald's house 2 weeks prior.
2 weeks prior. And my understanding is they have to stay for 30 days after the surgery, and then they have to return to Houston once a month for 3 years for the doctors and yeah. So it's quite an ordeal for families. I have to say, I just spoke with a gentleman from Syria at Ronald McDonald's house. He's been here for 6 months. Texas Children's Hospital was the only one that offered treatment for his 5-year-old boy. Is that cool or what? The baby's doing, his boy is doing fine. And I told him, I thanked him for sharing that, because doesn't that speak volumes for our community? That people fly in from all parts of the globe to come to our medical center. Man, that's just cool. We've got a lot to be proud of.
Just to clarify, this just appears to be a tragic accident. There's no signs
Yes.
of foul play.
No, I don't see any signs of foul play. As a search coordinator, I've been doing this a while, and I try to sniff that out as well. And I'm always talking to Tim, and Tim has so much experience that I call him at the drop of a hat. I bounce everything I hear off his head, and we don't have any reason to believe foul play. Just a tragic accident.
Can you talk to the tragedy of this, coming here to save their baby and then losing the father?
Can't imagine how heartbreaking it all must be. Can't imagine.
Mark, what are the next steps, if any, for Texas EquiSearch, and then just in this investigation in general?
The next steps for Texas EquiSearch, when they are released by law enforcement, because right now they have to stay as a chain of custody protocol, and then I'll have a debriefing with my team and wake up tomorrow morning ready to go on another search. And we've been on an 11-day run. We just got done with an 8-day landfill search, and before that we assisted Brazoria County in serving a search warrant. There's a lot of searches that go on behind the scenes that the community never hears of, but Texas EquiSearch's phones never quit ringing, People never quit disappearing. A lot of broken hearts out there.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mark, have you ever been touched personally by a missing person?
No, I haven't.
Thank God.
I haven't. Thank God. There, for the grace of God, go I. Let me share something off camera. I heard it yesterday.